Hello, my name is Stephen Ferreter. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator at Rocky Mountain Development Council. And today we are doing a segment called Rocky Talk. This was actually done several years ago with Helena Civic Television and Rocky Mountain Development Council. And we are resurrecting the program to try to spread awareness about Rocky. We want to try to do one of these a month to highlight our programs and anything going on in the organization. For those of you who do not know, Rocky Mountain Development Council is the Human Resource Development Council serving Lewis and Clark, Broadwater, and Jefferson counties. We have 11 programs that address the needs of early childhood development, affordable housing, senior nutrition and transportation, and energy services. So a lot going on, so I'm excited to do this program so we can tell everyone in the public what's going on. And today I am joined by Michele Mathot. Michele, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Michele Mathot.
Sorry.
And I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator for Rocky's Agency on Aging.
Awesome. And I'm excited that we're starting this series with you because I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what an Agency on Aging is, and it might be one of our lesser known programs.
Okay.
So can you tell us what an Agency on Aging is?
So there are 9 agencies on aging around the state of Montana. Our Agency on Aging covers Lewis and Clark, Jefferson, Broadwater, Mar Park, and Gallatin counties.
Okay.
And we partner with contractors and other members of the community in those communities to provide services.
So you guys actually reach 3 additional counties that the rest of Rocky
We do,
doesn't?
yes. We have
Okay.
a bigger area than you do.
Okay, so again, very big organization, a lot going on. It can get confusing. So thanks for clarifying that. And so what would you say the goal is of the Agency on Aging?
So the goal of the Agency on Aging, in a nutshell, is to provide services for seniors. We're a resource center. So I like to tell people, if you have any questions on anything related to aging, where to find this, who to call for that, you can start with us. And we will, if we aren't the ones that do it, we'll put you in contact with who does.
Very cool, very cool. And where are you guys located? We have the Neighborhood Center, which is kind of the hub of Rocky, and you guys are not there. Can you tell us where you're located?
No, that big building is just not big enough for all of Rocky's programs. We're actually located at 1398 Warehouse Avenue, which, if folks are familiar with the Salvation Army Church building on Hudson, we are kind of right next to them.
Very cool. And are you guys open for walk-in appointments? Do people have to call to make appointments? How does that work?
No, they can walk in. Our building is a house, so sometimes people will come up and just ring the doorbell, but you can walk right on in and somebody will come out and see what they can do for you.
Cool. And if I were to want to make an appointment, what would be the best way to go about doing that?
Sure. So you can call and make an appointment, say maybe with one of our SHIP counselors for some Medicare assistance. And the statewide number is 800-551-3191. Our local number is 457-7368.
Very cool. And I also want to mention you can go to our website at rmdc.net, and all the agencies' information is on there, as well as the rest of our programs. So that's another good resource.
Yeah.
You had mentioned SHIP. So let's talk about some of the specifics that you guys do and some of the services you guys provide. Can we kind of go through some of those?
Sure. So actually the services that we provide come from the Older Americans Act, which was started during the Johnson administration in 1965. And so we are guided by that. We assist older adults, their caregivers. Some of the programs that we have are, so like I mentioned before, we can put people in touch with things. We're a resource center. We do information and assistance.
So a lot of what you guys do is not necessarily providing a service, but connecting people with services they might require.
Yes, there are some services that we provide, but a lot of them are done by our contractors.
Okay.
And so the SHIP, which is State Health Insurance Program, which is Medicare. So SHIP would be for folks coming in to talk about Medicare. Maybe they're new to Medicare.
Okay.
Maybe they want to change something. That can be done during open enrollment.
Okay.
Which is, I think, October 15th through December 7th.
Okay.
That's a very, very busy time for us. We have 3 SHIP counselors. They also tend to help with sometimes Medicare and Medicaid go hand in hand.
Right.
And so they help folks with Medicaid issues as well.
Okay.
And they also screen for, like, you might come in and talk to them for one thing, but in the conversation, they kind of screen for any other helping programs that someone might qualify for.
Oh, okay, very cool. So if I were an older adult and I wanted to get help with Medicare, I could come to Agency on Aging and see a SHIP counselor.
Yep.
And they are certified, or is?
Yes, they
okay.
are.
And you have
They do state training.
state training. Okay, so they know the ins and outs of the program. I'm sure it's kind of a tricky process.
Yes, they do, and every year things change.
Okay.
So I stick to my education and outreach and let them handle that stuff.
Okay, very cool. So we covered SHIP. Let's talk a little bit about long-term care ombudsman.
Sure.
What
so
is that?
A long-term care ombudsman is someone who advocates for the resident of a nursing home or an assisted living facility. Not the facility, but the person that lives there.
Okay.
So they have a safe person to discuss issues that they might have as a resident there. They also just do visits. So we have 2 ombudsmen under our Agency on Aging. So one is here in Helena, based out of Helena. The other is based in Bozeman, so they can cover all the territory.
So another layer, we have an office in Bozeman.
Well, we contract with the HRDC in Bozeman for senior services.
Okay.
They do a lot more under one roof, I believe.
Okay.
But yes, there are services over there, and we have somebody in Livingston as well that does SHIP counseling, information, and assistance.
Very cool. And so they have an office where they can help specifically long-term care, ombudsman care, Bozeman and Livingston.
Bozeman and Helena, sorry.
Oh, you're good. So Bozeman and Helena. Mm-hmm. Okay, very cool. So we covered that. Next up, Senior Medicare Patrol. Can you explain what this is?
Yes. Senior Medicare Patrol, I think, is one of the most important things that we educate people on right now. It is how to recognize fraud, waste, and abuse within the Medicare system. And that can take many forms. I know everybody gets the phone calls from the unknown number, and you don't know what to do about that.
Right.
I can't say it enough. Never give anyone your Social Security number. Never give anyone your Medicare number. The IRS will never call you. Medicare will never call you. But it can come in other forms. So you might end up with a piece of durable medical equipment at your front door one day, and you didn't order it, and you don't know whose it is or what it is, and there's no return information. So you might just take it to Goodwill, or you might shove it in your attic or your garage. Well, later down the line, maybe when you've had something happen, maybe a knee replacement or a hip replacement, and a doctor says you need a walker, but Medicare denies it, it's because there was Medicare fraud and that item already came to your house. Somebody else
Ordered it? Probably.
Sure, ordered it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Maybe
sure how
not
the
the right
scam
word.
itself
Yeah,
works. Let's put it
yeah,
that way.
yeah.
But it's bad.
Okay.
So, Danielle right now, one of my coworkers, Danielle, she is also a SHIP counselor. She does the Senior Medicare Patrol.
Okay.
She is visiting senior centers in our area
Okay.
and giving a little presentation on Senior Medicare Patrol and handing out some goodies that make it easier to keep like your doctor bills and things like that in order. Somebody could come visit us at the office to talk about those kinds of things as well.
Okay, very cool. And I know as the outreach coordinator at Rocky, you oftentimes give me Senior Medicare Patrol updates.
I do.
That we put on, thank you for those. We put those on our social media. So please follow us on Facebook and Instagram to look at those. You can just type in Rocky Mountain Development Council and you'll find us. Where else can they find information? I know you said Danielle goes out to senior citizen centers. And you give me stuff on the website as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different entities that I interact with that send information, and I try to send that on to you so that it goes out onto our social media. I do some traveling for my job. I travel to like health fairs. I was just recently at the Marr County Expo. Woohoo, it's Sulphur Springs! They have a really great organization there. The Lions Club puts that on. And then I think we're going to have one down on the Walking Mall.
Very cool.
When is that going to happen? Do you remember?
I do not. Are you talking the community health fair?
Yeah.
So that is actually scheduled for July 11th.
Okay.
So you will be down there.
I will be with my table and all my goodies.
Yeah, so Michelle will be there. July 11th is the community health fair that Helena India Alliance is putting on this year. So we'll be down there. I think it starts at 11 a.m. We'll be there till about 3 p.m. So Michelle will be there handing out information on her program, and we'll have other programs from Rocky there as well. So thanks for mentioning that. And yeah, that was great. Thank you for covering Senior Medicare Patrol.
Yeah, a couple of the other things we do is we have someone who also is a contact for caregiver resources. And caregiver, we mean like a family or a friend caregiver, not a paid caregiver that comes to your home to do things. A lot of times, someone who is a spouse or a child or a close relative or a friend, a neighbor, they don't consider themselves a caregiver. They don't put that label on themselves.
Right.
So they can become very overwhelmed in caring for another individual. And so we like to make sure that caregivers have the resources that they need to keep themselves above water and healthy themselves.
Right. So a lot of times people forget about the person giving the care.
Yep.
Kind of an ironic thing.
Yes,
there.
we don't want to forget them at all.
Okay, and so that goes under your family caregiver support.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Anything else you want to cover there?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about evidence-based programs.
There you go. Tell us about those.
So currently I am teaching an evidence-based program which is called Stepping On. It's a falls prevention program.
Okay.
I've been teaching it for almost 8 years now. We do 2 of those classes a year, one in the spring and then one again in the, I say autumn because I don't like to say the falls class. It is a 7-week course. We do teach some exercise, but the sessions are more centered around discussion, brainstorming, and just learning from each other. We share fall stories. We talk about how to avoid these things. It's so much information that it's a 2-hour class once a week. And I really think it could be a 3-hour class once a week because we just find ourselves running out of time because we have so much to talk about.
Right.
Another thing we have with the class is guest experts.
Very cool.
So one session, we have a PT come in for a couple sessions, and they talk to us about how to do the exercises correctly, what those exercises are for, what muscles we're building, and how those relate to helping us not have a fall. There's a pharmacist that visits. We have somebody from Blind and Low Vision that comes to visit. And also, we have an EMT firefighter that will be joining us soon. I like that one because he talks about calls they've responded to where someone has fallen, whether it's in their home or out in public, because that happens too.
Very cool.
So it's a really great class, and I love it.
Sounds amazing. And it's going on right now, right?
It is right now. It's a class that you have to register for.
Right.
And
does that fill up typically, or?
Yes, but I always have a wait list going.
Okay.
So folks can call me anytime just to talk about it if they want a little bit more information on how the class kind of rolls. But our next class will be starting, I think, September 18th.
Very cool.
So
it's kind of a
folks can call me about
combination
that.
of learning from people, telling stories, and also actually teaching people methods to prevent falls.
Yes, we want to try to prevent them as much as we can. However,
because falls are one of the most preventable injuries for older adults, right?
They don't have to be a normalcy of aging. But fall might happen. You don't know why. There's a lot of different things that cause a fall. So one of our sessions also covers how to get up from a fall. And that one always gets a lot of laughs, but it's important.
Well, that's a real thing, right?
Yes, and it's nice because the participants can say, well, I wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, well, let's brainstorm another way that this person could have gotten out of that situation.
Right. That sounds like an awesome course.
I learn from the participants every class I teach.
Very cool.
They're awesome.
How long have you been teaching that class?
About 8 years.
Okay, so you're very experienced.
Of course, we had to take a little time off for COVID.
Right.
But when you take and or facilitate that class, you never look at the world the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
Just in terms of
seeing a trip hazard somewhere. That shouldn't be there.
That's very cool. What a cool class and important class. So thank you for that, Michelle. I think we've covered all the services that we had planned to talk about. Anything else that you wanted to mention in terms of services?
No, I think we
specifically?
covered all of our services. And
Okay.
again, if somebody doesn't know where to start for something, they can contact us anyway.
Right, and you can point them in the right direction.
Yes, we'll try to hunt down the service that they're needing and
Cool.
get them in touch with the right people.
Okay. Well, thank you for being so informative and telling people what goes on at Agency on Aging. I hope that you were all able to draw a lot from that and understand what an Agency on Aging is and the different programs that they offer and that really important aspect of connecting people to resources that they need. So Michele, we've had a good time talking about your
Talking about the
services,
good
your
touchy-feely
programs.
stuff.
Let's talk about a little bit of the harder stuff. And to be upfront about, we're going to be talking about funding, which is how your programs function, right? In particular, I know you get some state funding and some federal funding. We'll focus for now on the federal funding because that's kind of been in the spotlight
Correct.
recently in terms of you don't know if you're going to be getting funding. Can you talk a little bit about that whole situation with federal funding and how it could affect the Agency on Aging?
Yeah, I'd love to. So again, the Older Americans Act is what kind of governs the services that we offer. And it goes beyond. I mean, it's Meals on Wheels and senior centers and that kind of thing too.
Right.
So the Older Americans...
Sorry to interrupt you. The
No.
Older Americans Act is a federal program.
It
correct?
is, yes,
Okay.
started in 1965.
Okay.
And so it gets renewed, the Older Americans Act gets renewed about every 4 years. And it has been for the past 60 years, renewed every year, or renewed every 4 years.
So a long time.
It has been around for a very long time. Our program and our services just happen to be some of the ones that are targeted by the current administration.
Okay.
So, we could be facing cuts. We are facing cuts. It will really drastically change the way that we can serve the clients that we serve and also what services those clients will be able to get. Another Rocky program is the LIHEAP program. What does that stand for, Stephen?
Low Income Heat Energy Assistance
Nice,
Program.
nice. It's a fabulous program. It doesn't just affect seniors, it's all low-income families.
Right.
But that particularly will affect seniors very deeply.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't know how you're going to heat your house in Montana.
Totally, especially in Montana.
Yes.
So scary stuff. Obviously, we're hoping for the best on that.
Yeah.
And I know I spoke actually with Jim Marks, the Agency on Aging Program Director, before we headed over here, and he just wanted to talk specifically about some of the programs that are at risk, and those include the SHIP program that we had covered, the long-term care ombudsman program that we
yeah.
covered, and the evidence-based health program.
Yes.
So,
yes.
and
And
you
that's just within our building. Those are
Right.
just me and my
That's
coworkers.
just Agency on
You know,
Aging.
you're still looking at Medicaid cuts, SNAP benefits being cut.
Right.
I mean,
Which don't necessarily affect your funding, but affect the people that you serve.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Because they are just going to come to us and what do I do now? And I don't like not having answers or being able to help people.
Right.
We're a very energetic group. We like the people we serve. We like to be able to help them. One of the other things that we do out of our building is we have a durable medical equipment loaner program. And so we take in donated medical equipment, specific things. So I prefer for folks to call us first and ask, hey, can you take this? But
Okay.
it's wonderful because we can then loan those items out to folks who might not be able to afford to get those things on their own, or sometimes they just need it for a very short amount of time.
Right.
Like they need a walker because they had a knee surgery,
Right.
and they're going to bring it back in 3 weeks. So
Okay.
they can bring things back. Sometimes they will bring back the item that they borrowed and then other things that they've accumulated. So that always makes me very happy.
Okay. So if you have some equipment that's used, call Michele.
Yes,
She'll get
thank
it to
you.
the right people. Michele, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming down and starting Rocky Talk in 2025. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we end the segment?
It's always my pleasure to talk about the Agency on Aging and what we do. Anybody that's used our services, or if you know someone that might need our services, just please give us a call. Again, it's 800-551-3191.
Thank you, Michelle. And again, thank you for showing everybody what you do. And I really appreciate the passion that you have for what you do and all of you at Agency on Aging. And that goes for everyone at Rocky. And with that, we will end our Rocky Talk segment 2025. Thank you very much.